live stream. You are now live. Okay.
That's not live.
Okay, I see it. You see it? It says the Scum 0.9 private server settings PvE.
Just give it a minute.
Okay. Okay, I see it.
Okay, there it comes through. Right.
You see it?
I'm on. Yes.
It says the Scum 0.9 private server settings PvE.
Just give it a minute.
Okay. Okay, I see it.
Okay, there it comes through. Right.
You see it?
Chat gestuur? Yes.
It says the Scum 0.9 private server settings PvE. It's got extreme latency.
Just give it a minute. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to close this for now. Okay, I see it. There we go. Now I can actually hear myself think. Alright, so when we do server settings, especially on a PvE server, I want you guys to remember one thing. The most important thing. Your damage towards your players has to be switched off. That's the most important thing. When you go into your customization zones, you'll see everything has to be blocked. So brawling damage blocked, vehicle damage obviously on, melee damage. Well, vehicle damage you can actually allow or don't allow. I like to allow it because I mean it's a PvE server. You make money, thus you're gonna have to, I don't know, use the money on repairing your bases, getting weapons, etc. So melee damage you can block, throwing damage you can either allow or block, it doesn't really matter. Projectile damage, that is to make sure that you don't shoot each other. So when, for example, you go into an abandoned bunker and you do have where you go into Brenner, for example, and you guys start shooting, this ensures that you do not shoot each other. Now burn damage, I allow it, because what's the point? If you take it off, you might as well go stand in front of Brenner and just hope for the best. Picking player locks, block. Picking world locks, allow. Everything else, I would say, in my personal opinion, is on allow. So if you go out here and you go into your human to human damage, now please note this is the multiplier, the melee damage, the unarmed melee damage, throwing damage, and sentry damage. Obviously you can switch up. Zombie damage you can switch up from anything from 0.7 to let's say 2.7, depending on your server settings and depending on what you want with your server. Your food decay, you don't want to run every 5 minutes to go and find food, so set your item and your food decay on 0.3. Lock protection damage you can leave where it is, because that actually helps you a heck of a lot. So in general, you'll see that you've got your max ping, you've got your logout timers, etc. I like keeping this short because people don't like waiting. I mean, that is just ridiculous, waiting for everything. All your normal settings, you would prefer to have it where it is. Your wipes, this is depending on server to server. You get people that like to wipe a server every 3 months, for example. You get people that prefer wipes every 3 months. So it depends from server to server. Obviously, PvE wise, if it is PvP, you get problems with it. So it depends from person to person again. Fame point penalty on death 0.1, because you don't want the people to lose all their fame points. Fame gain multiplier, you can set it on 1. I've made it 1.2, so it's literally, it picks up quite fast. But It only picks up once you start killing puppets. Right. So frame points penalty on killed, 0.1, and then frame point rewards on kill. This is when you have a PvP. So that one you can set to 0. I would prefer the people not to shoot each other on a PvP server, because that's just going to create chaos. Who shot who and why did they shoot each other? Now when you go to max allowed zombies, now this is your in-world settings for your NPCs. So zombie settings, all of this stays exactly the same. You don't move this. Drones, you can remove it because I don't see the point in it. Your zombie modifier, you can push up to 5.5. A lot of people like to keep it on 3.2. So it depends, again, how many zombies you want. I like, because you've got to remember this is a PvP. So push them up. Otherwise, what's the point? You've got to make it a little bit difficult for the people, but not too difficult for the people. That's how you keep a server. So interior zombie spawning cooler time, you can put it 1200 seconds. Now remember, 1200 seconds is literally how much time it allows you. So 25 minutes is 100%. Your spawning check time is literally when you go into an area, it sees that you are into the area and it gives you 10 seconds grace. So as soon as it sees that you are in that area, it automatically spawns all of those 5.5 zombies. Alright, so exactly the same thing as with your interior zombie spawning and with your wild zombie spawning. So your probability in regards to zombie spawning wherever, you can push this up to 100 if you really want to. You've got to remember that this modifies the probability that an exterior zombie spawner will be activated. So the less you put it, the less chance there are of the zombie actually spawning. So if you take, for example, if you take this and you push it up to 100, it's 100% probable that it's going to be there. Whereas if you've got it on, let's say 50-50 as I have put it, you're going to find that it might be there and it might not be there. So it's a guessing game at the end of the day. So obviously your abandoned bunkers, you've got to set it a little bit lower though, just for the new guys so that they can get into the story and start getting used to it. I mean, what's the point? If you're not used to it and you don't know what to do, you're going to go in there blindly and you're going to die. Hunting, you can literally put it up at 40, hunting failure time 600 seconds, and then hunting failure distance is at 800 meters. Your cargo drop, you can literally leave that as is. It doesn't really matter how much you state it. This literally spawns about every hour, let's say half an hour to an hour. Remember, it is a PvE server, so the guys want loot. Alright, otherwise they don't make money. If they don't make money, they can't buy things. Alright, your map, obviously that stays as it is. You don't change your map settings. Weather, you can set your weather as you want it. So your time of day speed 3.84. Nighttime darkness, you can set it to 0, which is darkest. I didn't put it on very dark, otherwise the people are not going to be very happy in regards to that. Sunrise time, you can set it as you need it. You can set it to 4 o'clock, or like I've got it 5:30. Sunset time at 9. Your NPCs, this we've already done. So respawning, you can set your prices in regards to people spawning. So normal random spawn, it's going to cost you 75 cash. Your sector spawning is 200, and then shelter spawning is at 5 gold. Now remember, if you take the G away, obviously it means that it's going to be cash. The respawn initial time checking is 0. It depends on person to person and server to server, obviously. So all of this has got to do with your random price modifier. If you change any of these settings, just make sure that you actually know what's going on. It doesn't help you go into something and you have no idea. Remember, this has all got to do with your cooldown. Your price per squad mate modifier, I like keeping that off because as far as I know, it doesn't work yet. Permadeath is set at 0, minus 1500. Vehicles, you can have vehicle spawning everywhere. This is your fuel draining system. So battery charge and battery charge with dynamo multiplier is set at 1 so that it can charge, whereas your draining is set at 0.5. Remember, you can't set it at 1 because then it's going to decharge as soon as it's charged. Alright. Then from resources we go to day's vehicle inactivity. You can set this as you want. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Now remember, in South Africa we've got something called load shedding. Load shedding is where the power actually goes off for a numerous amount of hours. So if you set this thing to 2 hours and someone puts a vehicle into an area, it's going to disappear in 2 hours, where now it disappears in 4 hours or 4.5 hours. Right. Again, as I've said, this has got to do with your vehicle spawning. So your vehicle spawning, you can set it as is. It doesn't really matter how you set it or where you set it. Alright, so your damage multiplier is, this is again human to human damage. Your base building, you can set it as you wish. This has got everything to do with maximum amount of elements per flag, your flag's additional square member, and expanded elements per flag. Allowing multiple flags, I switched it off because it's absolutely just ridiculous having more than one flag. Your miscellaneous, your exhaustion. I like the exhaustion idea, but to me it is a little bit no-no, especially on a PvE server. If it was PvP, you can switch it on and people actually start getting tired and they've got to start relaxing themselves. Kill boxes, you can set this literally as you want to, it really doesn't matter. So this has got to do with your miscellaneous. Your farming, you can set the farming again as you wish. I mean, if you put the first plant harvest additional chance at minimal, people are not going to find anything to eat. 50%, you've got a 50% chance. 60%, you've got a 60% chance. So that brings us to the next category, which is your squads. You can set the squads at squad count at level intelligence level 1. Okay, so you can have 2 people at that stage. 2 at level 4. Level 3, you got 6. Level 4, you got 8. Level 5, you got 10. Now you'll see I've switched it around a little bit. Okay, so it used to be 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't see the point in that because people on a PvE server want to group up and they want to have fun. This has got to do with your item spawning. So if you go into a bunker, for example, you look at the amount of loot. So this tells you the amount of loot probability that you are going to be finding inside of anything. So you've got times 1. If you set it anything higher, what's the point? Because then it's going to be high loot. Whereas if you start putting it down, it's going to start making a little bit more sense for you, so that people can actually go out and look for what they want. Right. Your resources, you can put it at 1.0 everything. Why? Because it just makes it a heck of a lot easier. Alright. Your base building again, okay, custom zones. You can make abandoned bunker zones. This is like, for example, those areas that you see on the map which are crossed in red. Those are all your abandoned bunkers. I like to show people where they are. Your global configuration, I've already showed you. I sure hope that this has helped and that it made sense to you. So from my side, guys, have a beautiful day and remember, don't stop hunting. Ciao.
Hello.